Hey guys, what's up? It is Ripe again, back with a mix of Neighbors from Hell and revenge stories. In today's video I will tell you the story of a neighbor that threw trash bags in OP's garden and constantly called the cops on OP for petty reasons. Without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled Douche Neighbor Tried to Get Us in Trouble with Cops for Making Preparations for an Eventual Fence. This literally happened to me and my family almost a year ago. My family hired a couple who specialized in small projects to put up steel poles for an eventual fence that we've been planning to put up for a while. Our neighbor lost his mind as he thought we were on his property. We've had issues with him in the past over property line issues, despite us showing him the deed and proving him wrong many times. He screamed at the couple and then jumped the fence to our yard and went around to the front to scream at my mom to tell her to stop the couple and we had no right to put up a fence. My mom reacted, told him to knock it off and reminded him that it is on our side. He left and then called the cops on us. The cops came a few minutes later, got both stories and told him to calm down and to call a lawyer as they cannot do anything and to not jump the fence again. The next day my dad talked to him. It didn't go smooth as my dad asked him why he screamed at my mom. He ignored the question and accused me of smoking MJ on his property when I was younger, and at the time of the story a few weeks ago I have asthma. My dad told him to calm down and to not let this happen again. He dropped it, or so we thought. A few weeks after, he keeps mean mugging us when we happen to see each other, my dad, mom, wife and me, and we somehow got big bags of trash on our yard and garden, so I had enough of his crap and did something which I admit is petty and stupid. And funny as my dad said, but I had enough. When I knew he was coming, I went to the backyard, set up a table and chair, and I then brought out my shotgun and pistol to clean them. It has been a while and for once it was a nice day in my city to be in one's yard. As soon as he went to his yard, he got a look at my guns as I was cleaning them. As soon as he met my eyes, he walked away fast. Trying not to look at me anymore, coincidentally, the trash stopped appearing in our yard and he has finally left us alone. And yeah guys, seems like if you take care of your firearms, that is a good way to deter an awful neighbor. Who would have thought? The next one is titled Steal My Car, Wreck It and Try to Lie so I am held liable too? How about I tell the truth and you pay the whole bill? The block of flats I used to live in was being converted into Airbnb rooms by the landlord. We, me and my wife, were the last residential tenants renting there out of the 14 flats. It was unstaffed, so 99% of the time the rooms were booked by in-call ladies of the night and dealers of illegal substances. For a solid week we had dealers in and out of the door, up and down the adjoining stairwell every 30 minutes, and one night we saw a black SUV pull up near the front of the property and try to bundle one of the women who was staying in the dealer room opposite ours. She managed to get away. We called the police as we were scared for her safety. They ended up getting a warrant as we told them of our suspicions, and when tallied up with the attempted bundling, the duty sergeant was happy to bust their door in, searched a lot of them and made arrests. The other adjoining room/flat had a couple staying in it, got a bit drunk as you do, and we heard them arguing and it getting heated, and at one point some sort of physical violence occurred. Police came again, told the guy to leave and not to return. However, he did come back and shouted at her, threatening to stab her. A short while later we heard the most terrifying blood-curdling scream and called the police again. He went around the back of the property, got in a car and sped off moments before the police turned up. The final tale was literally on my day off, hearing a knock at the flat's bottom door, either every half hour or hourly. I saw dudes with their cash waiting to come up and get their end way with a lady of the night who stayed for a few nights in the adjoining flat. The drug raid won. John would then leave. Not even 5 minutes later, she was on to the next one and I heard everything. Walls were horrifically thin. I hated that place, but it was that or homelessness. We have now lived in our forever home, a nice bungalow in the countryside for the last year, and the leave and quiet has been a godsend. And I guess, guys, that is just one of the perks of living out in the countryside. If you live in a big city, especially in some kind of apartment in a huge apartment complex, you never really know what you're gonna get in terms of neighbors. Either way, if you have watched until here and enjoy the stories about crazy neighbors, then please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is a revenge story, and it is titled Selfish Spouse Hit by Car Ma. So, in a previous version of my life, I was previously married and in a terrible relationship. I was married and with her for 6 years, and 5 of those were extremely physically and emotionally abusive for me. 3 stab wounds and a wonderful diagnosis of general anxiety disorder. I was extremely unhealthy and underweight, 140 pounds at 6 feet tall, due to the fact that she was an alcoholic and all the money went towards bar tabs. Eventually she told me she wanted a divorce and I couldn't change that. This sucked at first, but I realized slowly how abusive she was and that I wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. I finally left 2 days after she came home drunk and beat me extremely badly, and I asked for the keys to our car since the car was in my name and I was going to leave. She told me she didn't know where the car was and she wouldn't give me the keys to the car. I then called the cops to report the car stolen, and they said since she was listed on the vehicle, I couldn't report it stolen. She essentially legally stole the car from me, even though the plates and everything were in my name. So I did the only thing I could do and cancelled the insurance and did not renew the tax a month later when I needed to. I documented why I was doing this, which was the only way I could go about keeping her from using the car. She would be forced to register the car in her name at that point to get the plates registration to be active. She never did this, and 4 months after I cancelled everything, she got into a car wreck and totaled the car and did $36,000 worth of damage to the guy's car. Since she didn't have insurance, she and I were held responsible to pay. Because I was listed as an owner, I was held liable. This all happened in 2013/14. I found out in October 2016 that we were being sued by the car insurance company for $36K. She also informed me at the time that she was pregnant with the guy she left me for and cheated on me with. She wrote in her response to the lawyer's lawsuit that we were separated and she was 6 months pregnant without a job and her family was helping her with bills, which was completely irrelevant, but she did this to try to make it out like I left her while she was pregnant and she could afford this, so I should have to. During all of this, we hired a lawyer for our divorce. What happened was she said she was getting a free consultation from the lawyer, so when I showed up she told him I was paying for everything since she did not have a job and couldn't afford anything. I asked if she could commit to paying me back half even if it takes her a year or longer. I was willing to wait till she got on her feet and had a job for her to pay me back, and every time she said no, I cannot afford it. I wanted this to end, so I pay for him and he informs me that since this is the case, he is only representing me and she is without a lawyer now. So when I get served with the lawsuit, the lawyer agrees to help with this as well and drafts an official legal response to the accusations, denying them outright. We said she stole the car from me. I attempted to report it stolen, but the cops wouldn't do anything, and that 4 months after I cancelled everything and informed her of this, she wrecked the car, so we were not at fault. They then sent her a new questionnaire to respond to with 13 accusations against her that she had 3 weeks to reply to. She never did. So 3 months ago they filed for motion of summary judgment. Basically, since she didn't respond, that was the equivalent of her admitting everything they accused her of. My lawyer then filed something, I'm not a lawyer so I have no idea what he filed, to dismiss me from the case since I filed and responded in a timely manner and provided everything they asked. It was my ex that never responded, and since that is the case, she should be held responsible. Today I got a letter from the lawyer of the car insurance that they were dropping only me from the lawsuit and I was off the hook. My ex has a hearing on September 13th where they are going to rule against her and she will be held responsible for all $36K. Since my lawyer receives all documents that are filed as e-files, he gets them immediately. They must send her a letter to her so she doesn't even know about this yet. Update September 21, 2017, so I was wrong on my original date of when the hearing was going to happen. I said it was the 13th, but it was actually the 19th, my bad. So after I received the call from my lawyer on August 24th, I received a call from my ex-wife, let's call her SC for stupid idiot, the next day on Friday. SC immediately began yelling at me incoherently about what a piece of crap I was, how she couldn't believe how dickless I was, etc. After her initial rant, I answered back, "Hi SC, how is your day going?" This triggered second rant for how I need to grow up and how childish I was, yada yada yada. I ask her, "What's wrong SC? Sounds like something bad has happened." She then tells me that douchebag's baby daddy, mom, had found the letter and had now kicked her out of the house. Small backstory, SC cheated on me with douchebag, left me for him, got knocked up, lost her job and now lives with his parents and is financially supported 100% by his parents. She has also up to that day called her mother-in-law. She also told me that she was having to stay with her mom now and she lost her kid because of me. Apparently, the ex-mother-in-law kicked her out, told her douchebag was keeping the kid and she was no longer welcome to be at their house. I ended the phone call by saying, "Doesn't it suck that an independent judge and a team of attorneys heard both sides of our story and knew how much of a piece of work you are and sided with me? There is no manager you can call to complain, you just have to live with this knowledge for the rest of your life. Have a nice life, you trashy cow. I hope you get screwed over by them." So I blocked her number and thought that was that. But no, I get a call on Monday from douchebag. I've had the same phone number for 10 years now, and he had it from when me and SC were married. He was her high school friend, asking in a panic if I had heard from SC. I told him I talked to her on Friday after his mom kicked her out, and she called to complain at me, but I blocked her after and hadn't heard from her. He then tells me that he cannot get a hold of her and she had come and kidnapped their baby and he had no idea where she was and as a last-ditch effort decided to call me in hopes I might know something. I told him that she had said she was staying with her mom now and he said that there had been no contact with her the entire time they were together, so he had no idea where she was. Plus, she did not have a job right now, so he had no clue where she might be living. Immediately, I know exactly where she is. I asked him if he knew where her grandmother lived. If her mom lost her job, nobody was going to roommate with her except her mom. He has never even met the grandma, also no contact because she is a huge piece of work. I got crazy stories of her and also doesn't know where she is. I told him I know exactly where she lives and if he gives me a second I can Google map her address. Don't remember it exactly. After a minute of searching I have the address. I let him know what it is and tell him to give me a call if she's not there and we can brainstorm where else she could be. The dude, by the way, is truly a douchebag, but even douchebags need help. I'm not going to screw a child over my hate for its parents. About 2 hours later he calls me back and tells me the cops rolled up to the grandma's apartment and SC was feeding the baby on the balcony. She got arrested and douchebag and his parents went and picked up his son and now have him back in their possession. By the way guys, I'm kind of surprised that you would say having a human back in your possession. Anyway, I told douchebag I was happy everything worked out, but I didn't wanna ever hear from him again. He said he understood and I have not heard from him since. SC is now in jail along with her mom for driving her to kidnap the child. Her mom actually admitted this to the police while defending SC's actions, saying it was wrong to take her child from her and she was doing what was right. Absolute idiot. So on the 19th, my lawyer attended the hearing just to make sure nothing happened to me. SC did not show since she is in jail. She got to call in from jail on the phone. They ruled against her 100%. She now has to pay 36k on her own. Her and her mom have no jobs except being Scentsy saleswomen and she is in jail for God knows how long. And the next one is titled $25,000 plus revenge on my slumlord. So, a few years back, my family went through some pretty horrible stuff and ended up moving into a trailer park. It did not look too awful as far as trailer parks go, and it was barely cheap enough to afford at that time, so we swallowed our doubts and moved in. The first night, we discover there are bedbugs and roaches, report the problem to the landlord the next morning, and he says we must have brought them in. That was our first clue that living there was going to be a problem. Fast forward a couple of years and we've got roaches that are immune to every poison on Earth. No amount of cleaning can even get rid of the smell of the bugs, and yes, they smell. There is a water leak every couple of weeks and the landlord just sends a guy out to cut down the existing water hoses and refastens them every time instead of replacing the rotting water lines. Our water heater is falling through the floor, rats and opossums are coming up through the heat vents in the floor. The ceiling leaks and there's a spot in the floor where you can stomp and knock power out to half the trailer. It was horrible. Every time we complained or asked for something to be fixed, anything, this fat a-hole would say it was our fault. He never treated for roaches. We did manage to kill off the bed bugs, but only after spending almost $1,000 and literally steam cleaning every inch of the place, never fixed the gaping holes in the heating conduits under the trailer, never fixed the leaks in the ceiling, even being threatened by the health department did not get this guy off his ass. So we got another slow leak, this time behind the bathtub. It was a wet winter, so our yard was a swamp anyway. The landlord paid the water bill and the meters were set up, so it was impossible to tell which trailer had the leak. So we decided to just let it leak all winter long. The first month he was complaining in the office one day about how high his water bill was. By the second month the leak had started spraying water at the back of our tub, so it was bigger, his water bill went up again. By December it was obvious there was a big problem and he called the water company out to investigate. We turned our water off while they were there, so they could not pinpoint the leak if they pressure tested the lines, which they did not do anyway, and as soon as they left we turned it back on. By January his water bills were so high that his partner came up thinking he must be embezzling funds from the utility account. They called the water company again and were told that the only way to fix the problem would be to seal the main water line that ran the entire length of the park. Basically, a crew comes out and blows a high pressure stream of some chemical that hardens on contact with the walls of the pipe and seals them, and it is a long pipe. The repair estimate was $25,000 for a problem that did not even exist. For 5 days, the crew was at the park blowing this funk into the pipe and checking to see if they had fixed the leak. We waited until the entire length of the pipe had been coated, then fixed the leak ourselves. It cost us $14. And guys, sadly we have already reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest you to check out my binge watch endless playlist on YouTube, which you will now see in the left or right corner of your screen. In addition, if you still cannot get enough and crave more exclusive Ripe content, then please head over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive Ripe videos that you will find nowhere else. In addition, I would just like to say I am so grateful for your support as usual, but lately we almost always reach 1000 likes, which helps me tremendously. Thank you very much for your amazing support. I hope you have a great day and I will see you again tomorrow.